this week, news broke that Donald Trump engaged with Saudi Arabia over an arms deal. Now, arms deals between the United States and Saudi Arabia is nothing new. It happened under the Obama administration, and some in the media, us included, criticized him for it. But when it comes to Saudi Arabia, it's a little interesting considering the fact that Trump has been very negative toward Muslims. He wants to ban travel from predominantly Muslim countries. Saudi Arabia, of course, is not included in that travel ban. So why is it that he wants to, facilitate an arms deal with a Muslim majority country like Saudi Arabia? Well, defense contractors, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing, and General Dynamics are all involved in the estimated $110 billion deal, the biggest in US history. The deal is the latest in a long line of US military aid for Saudi Arabia, which of course has recently fueled the country's involvement in Yemen's civil war. Now, how did Donald Trump sell this arms deal to the American public? Here is his statement. He said, tremendous investments in the United States, hundreds of billions of dollars of investments into the United States, and jobs, jobs, jobs. So, hey, let's give Saudi Arabia weapons because we're gonna create jobs in the US, which in my opinion isn't even a great argument. But if you do think it's a great argument, keep in mind that a little bit of an investigation by our reporter, Naomi LaChance, found that these jobs are actually not even gonna be created in the United States. They're gonna be created in Saudi Arabia. So let me give you the details about that. The State Department said the deal is potentially supporting tens of thousands of new jobs in the United States. But the deal includes a $6 billion agreement for 150 Black Hawk helicopters, but Lockheed Martin says it will manufacture them at its plant in Saudi Arabia.
Lockheed Martin has a plant in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, but there'll probably be some American guys working security there, some jobs there, probably.
Translators.
That's right, some translators, that's right, yeah. Of course.
Of course.
It's just an alternative fact, you guys. Jeez.
Yeah.
Relax.
Just real quick before I continue on, or before we continue on, you guys should check out Naomi's full piece on this at TYT Politics, youtube.com/TYT Politics. She did an incredible job with this. We have more facts, but Ben, jump in.
I was giving $110 billion to Saudi Arabian arms. It's like it's never in the past created a ton of American jobs.
That's right.
So why would it all of a sudden create them now? That said, I think all at this table, I don't know because I just met Suann today, but so I won't speak for you. I'll speak for them because I'm tired of hearing them. But they want to hear me more, which is weird.
It is
strange. But like the jobs are obviously going to be created in Saudi Arabia, right? But there is a potential benefit for that, even though presumably we would all like to see us rethink this relationship with Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
But the idea, the notion, if we're going to continue with the kind of world we live in, then there's a benefit to having Saudi Arabian jobs created because the fact of the matter is there's a tremendous amount of unemployment in Saudi Arabia. It's young unemployment. And Saudi Arabia is keenly aware that if they don't transition their economy to something a little more meaningful and not just a petroleum-based economy, that they got to employ these people because they fear the same thing that swept across the Middle East 4 years ago, which is some sort of Arab Spring in Saudi Arabia. And believe me, that's an unpleasant outcome for a lot, and certainly it is a completely unpleasant outcome for the military-industrial complex, the intelligence-industrial complex, the national security apparatus of the United States. And I don't say that like those guys are always wrong. Sometimes they're right, and maybe they're right on that. That's not something that we would look forward to. So there is an upside in creating these Saudi Arabian jobs, even though that is almost certainly not a political winner.
No,
hey, I'm the guy who created like 40,000 Saudi jobs, man.
Well, also
2020.
These Saudi jobs, I mean, when you talk about sort of reinvigorating or beginning to resuscitate a Saudi Arabian economy in some way, doing it with this military may not be the way that you'd want to sustain that economy, right? Essentially what we're doing is building a Saudi Air Force, and we're allowing them to have independence. So this is sort of a meta picture of the Middle East, but a Saudi Air Force and a strong Saudi economy based on sort of their own military industrial complex may not be the healthiest thing for the region.
Maybe $110 billion worth of schools.
That
might be another way to go.
Yeah.
Then they can have some construction jobs.
There are a lot of other economic engines besides
that we could put. Yeah, well, that's it. No, I agree completely.
Well, let me give you guys some more information based on Naomi's reporting on this. So the agreement also focuses on helping Saudi Arabia build its own air force, meaning that much of the work will be done there. Now, keep in mind that from 2014 to 2016, Boeing's workforce actually decreased 15,000 workers, even as its revenues increased from 60 billion to 65 billion.
That's a
Because
wild
of automation.
Huh?
Automation, right?
Yeah,
They
automation.
don't need as
yeah.
many employees.
So like this argument that like, hey, we gotta like, if we create more contracts for these weapons manufacturers and these, private contractors, they're gonna create more jobs, but that has not played out. That is the exact opposite has happened, and automation has definitely played a role in that. Also, Raytheon promised that the deal will bring job creation in both the US and Saudi Arabia. The contractor will provide air defense systems, precision munitions, and cybersecurity. Raytheon's agreement, however, creates an entirely new subsidiary company, Raytheon Arabia, which will not only be based in Saudi Arabia, but will help the kingdom build its own military technology in the future. What a great idea, by the way. Saudi Arabia, which by the way, played a role in, what happened.
15 of the 19.
Yeah, exactly. 15 of the 19. 9/11, you want to have a conversation about that. You want to have a conversation about national security and how, Republicans are going to be super tough on national security. We have now created a deal with Saudi Arabia where we're training them to create, the same military capabilities that we have here in the US. Real smart, but whatever. I mean,
no, it's a great point.
you,
It's
boo.
about the money.
Yeah.
It's about the money. I mean, and by the way, it's always been about the money. Obviously, this country has chosen allies and interests, geopolitical areas of focus based on money, on what will be important to our economy and those that run it. And I use that wording deliberately. This is the most naked example of that. And we're going to see more naked examples of it because we've got a guy in charge who's Daddy Warbucks, who's Richie Rich. And all of his Richie Rich pals are now making these moves, and they can make them so nakedly without any repercussions that they will continue to make them.
I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who works at a TV station, and even when I started in this business, or when Mark and I started in this business, there was this sense of like, of course, there was an effort to produce a profit and deliver for shareholders. But at the same time, there was also an effort to deliver a quality product that everybody who worked there could be proud of and make some money and pay a staff a living wage so there could be some meaningful quality of life. At least in television, for example, which is the business that I grew up knowing, here what we have left is the first or the second thing. Deliver for the shareholders, whichever one of the three that was, 1, 2, or 3. That's all we got left. They don't care about the product anymore, and they certainly don't care about quality of life. Now, I presume that they'll be delivering a quality product here, right? The weapons will blow the shit out of everybody in their path, and won't that be great, right? But they don't care like you'd think, it wasn't that long ago that there was some standard that when Boeing got all that money and increased their profits, it wouldn't occur to them to cut 15,000 jobs because they now can't. Right? But now, of course, you cut. There is no sense of loyalty. 15,000 people they fired while they made $5 billion extra dollars. Who gets that money? They give a raise to the other employees?
No, they're building underground shelters for the top executives because they're going to need somewhere to live when all these weapons are going off. So
man, it is. It's just we went off the rails, man. That's why I had lunch last week with some super rich people. I know we got to go, and I was like, well, the world I want is a world where you guys are still rich, but you're just less rich. Like, what do you care if you're worth $65 million or $38 million? I don't care. I don't care. Right. You can be worth $38 million. And you know what's happened to that $27 million? We're redistributing it.
Yeah.
In a meaningful, effective way.
What do you get for Young Turks membership? It's a mystery. Only one way to find out. TYTnetwork.com/join.